100 Civics Questions, 1 to 15. Explained. Civics Questions 2025 Part 1.
The soft hum of fluorescent lights filled the small classroom. A whiteboard stood at the front, covered in notes about American government, while a few students sat at their desks, flipping through study guides. The citizenship test was coming up, and for many, it was a defining moment.
All right, everyone. Today, we're focusing on the first 15 questions of the civics test. I'll read each question aloud and give you 3 answer choices. You'll pick the one you think is correct, and I'll explain why. Ready? Question 1. What is freedom of religion? A. You must follow the government's religion. B. You can practice any religion or not practice a religion. C. Religion is not allowed in the United States.
I think the answer is B. You can practice any religion or not practice a religion.
Correct. Freedom of religion is protected by the First Amendment of the US Constitution. This means people are free to follow any religion or choose not to follow one at all. The government cannot establish an official religion or interfere with religious practices. Question 2. What is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen? A. To be loyal to the United States. B. To never vote in elections. C. To leave the country if asked.
I think the answer is A. To be loyal to the United States.
Exactly. When someone becomes a U.S. citizen, they take an oath of allegiance. This includes being loyal to the country, following its laws, and serving if needed, such as in the military or jury duty. Question 3. Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? A. George Washington. B. Thomas Jefferson. C. Abraham Lincoln.
I think the answer is B. Thomas Jefferson.
That's right. Thomas Jefferson was the main author of the Declaration of Independence, which was adopted on July 4, 1776. It declared the American colonies free from British rule and listed the reasons for seeking independence. Question 4. How many amendments does the Constitution have? A. 10. B. 27. C. 50.
I think the answer is B. 27.
Correct. The first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights, which were added in 1791. Since then, 17 more amendments have been added, addressing issues such as voting rights, presidential terms, and civil rights. Question 5. Who makes federal laws? A. The Supreme Court. B. Congress. C. The President.
I think the answer is B. Congress.
Right again. Congress is the legislative branch of the U.S. government, made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. They propose, debate, and vote on laws, which are then sent to the President for approval. Question 6. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1900s. A. World War II. B. The Civil War. C. The American Revolution.
I think the answer is A. World War II.
Exactly. The U.S. fought in multiple wars during the 20th century, but World War II 1939 to 1945, was one of the most significant. The U.S. joined the war after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 and played a crucial role in defeating the Axis powers. Question 7. Who was the first president? A. John Adams. B. Abraham Lincoln. C. George Washington.
I think the answer is C. George Washington.
Correct. George Washington served as the first president from 1789 to 1797. He set many important precedents, including the two-term limit, which later became law. Question 8. What does the Constitution do? A. Sets up the government. B. Declares independence from Britain. C. Makes treaties with other countries.
I think the answer is A. Sets up the government.
Yes, the Constitution outlines the structure of the U.S. government, dividing power among the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. It also protects individual rights and freedoms. Question 9. What is the highest court in the United States? A. The Court of Appeals. B. The Supreme Court. C. The Federal Court.
I think the answer is B. The Supreme Court.
That's right. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the U.S. It has 9 justices who make final decisions on important legal issues, especially cases involving constitutional rights. Question 10. If both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, who becomes president? A. The Secretary of State. B. The Speaker of the House. C. The Chief Justice.
I think the answer is B. The Speaker of the House.
Correct. According to the presidential line of succession, if the president and vice president cannot serve, the Speaker of the House takes over. Question 11. What do we show loyalty to when we say the Pledge of Allegiance? A. The President. B. The United States. C. The U.S. Congress.
I think the answer is B. The United States.
Exactly. The Pledge of Allegiance is a way for Americans to express loyalty to their country and the values it stands for, such as freedom and democracy. Question 12. What did Martin Luther King Jr. do? A. Fought for civil rights. B. Was a U.S. president. C. Invented the light bulb.
I think the answer is A. Fought for civil rights.
That's right. Martin Luther King Jr. was a leader of the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 1960s. He advocated for racial equality and is best known for his "I Have a Dream" speech. Question 13. What does the President's Cabinet do? A. Advises the President. B. Declares war. C. Makes laws.
I think the answer is A. Advises the President.
Correct. The Cabinet consists of department heads such as the Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense, who help the President make important decisions. Question 14. Who is the father of our country? A. George Washington. B. Benjamin Franklin. C. Thomas Jefferson.
I think the answer is A. George Washington.
Exactly. Washington led the Revolutionary Army and helped establish the U.S. as an independent nation. Question 15. We elect a president for how many years? A. 2 years. B. 4 years. C. 6 years.
I think the answer is B. 4 years.
Correct. A president serves a 4-year term and can be re-elected once. Great job, David. Keep practicing, and you'll be ready for your test in no time.
David smiled, feeling a little more confident. The classroom buzzed with quiet conversation as the students packed up, ready for the next session.
100 Civics Questions, 16 to 30. Explained, Civics Questions 2025 Part 2.
The classroom had quieted as the students flipped through their study guides, ready to tackle the next set of questions. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, marking the passing of time. David sat at his desk, his pencil tapping lightly against the paper as he glanced nervously at Andrea at the front of the room. Today was another practice session for the civics test, and he was determined to get through it without a hitch.
All right, David, let's move on to questions 16 to 30. Remember, I'll read the question, and you'll pick the answer you think is right. I'll explain the reason behind each one. Question 16. Before he was president, Eisenhower was a general. What war was he in? A. World War I. B. World War II. C. The Korean War.
I think the answer is B. World War II.
That's right. Dwight D. Eisenhower was a 5-star general in World War II and served as the supreme Allied commander in Europe. His leadership during the war helped lead to the defeat of the Axis powers, and he later became the 34th President of the United States. Question 17. What did the Declaration of Independence do? A. Establish the U.S. Constitution. B. Announced our independence from Great Britain. C. Created the federal government.
I think the answer is B. Announced our independence from Great Britain.
Correct. The Declaration of Independence, adopted on July 4, 1776, formally declared that the American colonies were breaking away from British rule and becoming independent states. It also laid out the reasons for the separation. Question 18. What are the two parts of the U.S. Congress? A. The Senate and House of Representatives. B. The Senate and the White House. C. The Senate and the Supreme Court.
I think the answer is A. The Senate and House of Representatives.
Exactly. Congress is a bicameral legislature, meaning it has two parts, the Senate with 100 members and the House of Representatives, which has 435 members. Both chambers work together to create and pass laws. Question 19. Who signs bills to become laws? A. The President. B. The Speaker of the House. C. The Supreme Court.
I think the answer is A. The President.
Correct. Once Congress passes a bill, it's sent to the President to be signed into law. The President can either approve it or veto it. If vetoed, Congress can override the veto with a 2/3 majority in both chambers. Question 20. What is the supreme law of the land? A. The Declaration of Independence. B. The Constitution. C. The Bill of Rights.
I think the answer is B. The Constitution.
That's right. The U.S. Constitution is the highest law in the land. It sets the framework for the government, outlines the rights of citizens, and serves as the foundation of all U.S. law. Every other law must comply with the Constitution. Question 21. What does the judicial branch do? A. Makes laws. B. Reviews laws. C. Enforces laws.
I think the answer is B. Reviews laws.
Correct. The judicial branch, which includes the courts, interprets the laws passed by Congress and ensures they are applied correctly. The highest court, the Supreme Court, can rule on the constitutionality of laws. Question 22. Who was president during the Great Depression and World War II? A. Franklin Roosevelt. B. Harry Truman. C. Dwight Eisenhower.
I think the answer is A. Franklin Roosevelt.
That's right. Franklin D. Roosevelt, often called FDR, served as president from 1933 to 1945. He led the country through the Great Depression with his New Deal programs and served as commander-in-chief during most of World War II. Question 23. Name one of the two longest rivers in the United States. A. Mississippi River. B. Rio Grande. C. Colorado River.
I think the answer is A. Mississippi River.
Correct. The Mississippi River is one of the longest rivers in the U.S., stretching over 2,300 miles. It flows from the northern United States down to the Gulf of Mexico. Question 24. How many U.S. senators are there? A. 50. B. 100. C. 400.
I think the answer is B. 100.
Exactly. There are 100 U.S. senators, 2 from each state. They serve 6-year terms and work with the House of Representatives to pass laws. Question 25. Name one American Indian tribe in the United States. A. Cherokee. B. Aztec. C. Crow.
I think the answer is C. Crow.
Correct. The Crow Nation, also known as the Apsahaluk, is a federally recognized tribe. Native American tribes like the Crow have deep roots in U.S. history and culture. Question 26. What are 2 cabinet-level positions? A. Attorney General, Vice President. B. Secretary of State, Speaker of the House. C. Chief Justice, Secretary of Defense.
I think the answer is A. Attorney General, Vice President.
Correct. The Attorney General is the head of the Department of Justice, and the Vice President is also part of the Cabinet, advising the President and stepping in if the President cannot serve. Question 27. The idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are these words? A. In God we trust. B. We the people. C. We declare independence.
I think the answer is B. We the people.
Exactly. "We the people" reflects the idea that the government gets its power from the people, not from a monarch or foreign ruler. This principle is at the heart of the American democratic system. Question 28. Why did the colonists fight the British? A. Because of high taxes. B. Because of slavery. C. Because of the Boston Tea Party.
I think the answer is A. Because of high taxes.
That's correct. One of the key reasons for the American Revolution was the imposition of taxes by the British government without representation in Parliament. The colonists believed it was unfair and protested, eventually leading to war. Question 29. How many justices are on the Supreme Court? A. 6. B. 9. C. 11.
I think the answer is B. 9.
Correct. There are 9 justices on the Supreme Court, and they serve for life. The court is responsible for interpreting the Constitution and making decisions that impact the entire country. Question 30. What is an amendment? A. A change to the Constitution. B. A law passed by Congress. C. A decision made by the Supreme Court.
I think the answer is A. A change to the Constitution.
Exactly. An amendment is a formal change or addition to the Constitution. Some amendments have expanded rights, such as the right to vote, while others have made changes to the structure of the government. Well done, David. You're making great progress. Let's keep up the momentum and continue studying.
David smiled, feeling a little more confident than before. The class packed up, but he couldn't help but feel more prepared for the test. With each question, he was one step closer to achieving his goal.
100 Civics Questions, 31 to 45. Explained, Civics Questions 2025 Part 3.
The classroom was alive with the quiet shuffle of papers as David flipped through his study guide. He had already made it through 2/3 of the practice questions, and his confidence was starting to build. Andrea, now pacing slightly as she prepared for the next round of questions, looked over the group of students. The end of the class was approaching, and they were all almost done with the set of civics questions.
All right, David, let's wrap up with questions 31 to 45. Ready? Question 31. What are 2 rights of everyone living in the United States? A. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. B. Freedom of speech, freedom to own a gun. C. Right to bear arms, right to an attorney.
I think the answer is A. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion.
Exactly. The First Amendment guarantees the freedom of speech and religion, allowing individuals to express themselves and practice their beliefs without government interference. These rights are fundamental to the American way of life. Question 32. What is the name of the Vice President of the United States now? A. Kamala Harris. B. J.D. Vance. C. Joe Biden.
I think the answer is B. J.D. Vance.
Correct. J.D. Vance is the current vice president. He serves alongside the president in leading the executive branch and is next in line if the president is unable to serve. Question 33. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the states. What is one power of the states? A. To establish post offices. B. To give a driver's license. C. To declare war.
I think the answer is B. To give a driver's license.
Correct. States are responsible for issuing driver's licenses, regulating driving laws, and determining certain rules within their boundaries. Powers not granted to the federal government are reserved for the states under the 10th Amendment. Question 34. Name one U.S. territory. A. New York. B. Puerto Rico. C. California.
I think the answer is B. Puerto Rico.
Exactly. Puerto Rico is an unincorporated U.S. territory located in the Caribbean. People born there are U.S. citizens, but they don't have the same voting rights in federal elections as residents of the 50 states. Question 35. Who was president during World War I? A. Woodrow Wilson. B. Franklin Roosevelt. C. Dwight Eisenhower.
I think the answer is A. Woodrow Wilson.
That's right. Woodrow Wilson was the U.S. president during World War I. His leadership helped guide the country through the war, and he played a major role in shaping the post-war peace process, including proposing the League of Nations. Question 36. Who is in charge of the executive branch? A. The President. B. The Senate. C. The Chief Justice.
I think the answer is A. The President.
Correct. The President is the head of the executive branch of government, responsible for enforcing federal laws, commanding the military, and carrying out the functions of the federal government. Question 37. We elect a U.S. representative for how many years? A. 2 years. B. 4 years. C. 6 years.
I think the answer is A. 2 years.
Exactly. U.S. representatives serve 2-year terms. They are elected by the people in their districts and work in the House of Representatives to create and pass legislation. Question 38. Who is the Commander-in-Chief of the military? A. The President. B. The Secretary of Defense. C. The Chief of Staff.
I think the answer is A. The President.
That's right. The President is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and has the authority to make decisions about military strategy and national security. Question 39. Who did the United States fight in World War II? A. Japan, Italy, and Germany. B. Mexico, Canada, and France. C. Spain, Russia, and Austria.
I think the answer is A. Japan, Italy, and Germany.
Correct. The United States fought against the Axis powers, Japan, Italy, and Germany. During World War II, the U.S. entered the war in 1941 after Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, and it played a key role in the defeat of these nations. Question 40. What are 2 ways that Americans can participate in their democracy? A. Vote and run for office. B. Protest and avoid paying taxes. C. Only vote in local elections.
I think the answer is A. Vote and run for office.
Exactly. In a democracy, citizens can participate by voting in elections and running for public office. This allows people to have a direct say in how the government is run and who represents them. Question 41. Name one problem that led to the Civil War. A. Slavery. B. The Great Depression. C. Foreign policy.
I think the answer is A. Slavery.
Correct. The issue of slavery was one of the primary factors that led to the Civil War. The disagreement between the North and South over the expansion of slavery into new territories and states ultimately led to the war. Question 42. When is the last day you can send in federal income tax forms? A. January 1st. B. April 15th. C. December 31st.
I think the answer is B. April 15th.
Exactly. Federal income tax forms are due by April 15th each year, unless the deadline falls on a weekend or holiday, in which case it may be extended. Question 43. If the president can no longer serve, who becomes president? A. The vice president. B. The Speaker of the House. C. The Secretary of State.
I think the answer is A. The Vice President.
That's right. If the president cannot continue in office, the vice president automatically becomes the president, ensuring a smooth transition of power. Question 44. When was the Constitution written? A. 1776. B. 1787. C. 1800.
I think the answer is B. 1787.
Correct. The U.S. Constitution was written in 1787 during the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. It replaced the Articles of Confederation and created the framework for the current government. Question 45. Who is the governor of your state? A. Answer depends on where you live. B. The President. C. The Secretary of State.
I think the answer is A. Answer depends on where you live.
That's correct. Each state has its own governor, who is the head of the state's executive branch. You can find the current governor by checking your state government's website. Great work today, David. You've come a long way, and you're really getting the hang of it. Keep practicing, and you'll be fully prepared for the test.
David smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment as the class began to wrap up. With each session, he felt one step closer to passing his naturalization test. The next set of questions was already on his mind, but for now, he was ready to tackle whatever came next.
100 Civics Questions, 46 to 60. Explained, Civics Questions 2025 Part 4.
The classroom had settled into a quiet rhythm. David had been studying for weeks, and today was his final practice session. Andrea stood at the front, her notes neatly arranged in front of her, ready to guide him through the next set of civics questions. The test was drawing closer, but David could feel his nerves starting to fade with every question he answered correctly.
All right, David, we're almost there. Let's keep going with questions 46 to 60. I'm confident you're going to nail this. Question 46. Why do some states have more representatives than other states? A. Because they have more people. B. Because they have more land. C. Because they have more money.
I think the answer is A, because they have more people.
Exactly. The number of representatives in the House is based on the population of each state. States with larger populations have more representatives, while states with smaller populations have fewer. Question 47. What is the name of the national anthem? A. America the Beautiful. B. The Star-Spangled Banner. C. God Bless America.
I think the answer is B, the Star-Spangled Banner.
Correct. The Star-Spangled Banner is the national anthem of the United States. It was written by Francis Scott Key during the War of 1812 and officially became the national anthem in 1931. Question 48. Who is the Chief Justice of the United States now? A. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. B. John Roberts. C. Samuel Alito.
I think the answer is B, John Roberts.
Exactly. John Roberts is the current Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. He has served as Chief Justice since 2005 and is responsible for leading the court's decisions. Question 49. When do we celebrate Independence Day? A. July 4th. B. June 19th. C. September 11th.
I think the answer is A, July 4th.
Correct. Independence Day is celebrated on July 4th, the anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, when the U.S. declared its independence from Great Britain. Question 50. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the federal government. What is one power of the federal government? A. To print money. B. To give driver's licenses. C. To create schools.
I think the answer is A, to print money.
Exactly. The federal government has the exclusive power to print money, regulate its value, and oversee national financial systems. This is one of the key powers that help maintain the country's economy. Question 51. The House of Representatives has how many voting members? A. 100. B. 435. C. 250.
I think the answer is B, 435.
That's right. The House of Representatives is made up of 435 voting members, each representing a congressional district. The number of representatives per state is based on population. Question 52. What movement tried to end racial discrimination? A. The Civil Rights Movement. B. The suffrage movement. C. The labor movement.
I think the answer is A, the Civil Rights Movement.
Correct. The civil rights movement, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., aimed to end racial segregation and discrimination against African Americans. It achieved major legal victories, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Question 53. Who vetoes bills? A. The President. B. The Speaker of the House. C. The Senate Majority Leader.
I think the answer is A. The President.
Exactly. The President has the power to veto bills passed by Congress, which means rejecting them. However, Congress can override a veto with a 2/3 majority vote in both chambers. Question 54. There were 13 original states, name 3. A. New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire. B. Texas, Florida, Oregon. C. California, Hawaii, Alaska.
I think the answer is A. New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire.
Correct. The original 13 states were the first colonies that declared independence from Great Britain. They later became the founding states of the United States. Question 55. Name one state that borders Canada. A. New York. B. Alabama. C. California.
I think the answer is A. New York.
Exactly. New York borders Canada to the north. Other states that share a border with Canada include Michigan, Minnesota, and Alaska. Question 56. Name the U.S. war between the North and the South. A. The Civil War. B. World War I. C. The Korean War.
I think the answer is A. The Civil War.
Correct. The Civil War, fought from 1861 to 1865, was between the Union, North, and the Confederacy, South. The war was primarily about the issues of slavery and states' rights. Question 57. What was one important thing that Abraham Lincoln did? A. Freed the slaves. B. Created the Constitution. C. Led the U.S. into World War I.
I think the answer is A. Freed the slaves.
Exactly. Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which declared that all slaves in Confederate states were to be set free. This was a turning point in American history. Question 58. What happened at the Constitutional Convention? A. The Constitution was written. B. The Bill of Rights was passed. C. The Declaration of Independence was signed.
I think the answer is A. The Constitution was written.
Correct. The Constitutional Convention took place in 1787, where delegates from the states met to draft the U.S. Constitution. It was created to replace the Articles of Confederation and establish a more effective federal government. Question 59. When was the Declaration of Independence adopted? A. July 4th, 1776. B. December 25th, 1776. C. July 20th, 1776.
I think the answer is A. July 4th, 1776.
Exactly. The Declaration of Independence was adopted on July 4, 1776, marking the day the American colonies declared their independence from Great Britain. Question 60. Why does the flag have 50 stars? A. Because there are 50 states. B. Because there are 50 years of independence. C. Because there are 50 presidents.
I think the answer is A. Because there are 50 states.
Correct. The 50 stars on the American flag represent the 50 states in the Union. Each star represents one state, symbolizing the unity of the country. Great job today, David. You're so close now. Keep practicing, and you'll be more than ready for the test. Just a little more to go.
David smiled, feeling a growing sense of accomplishment. With each passing question, his confidence was soaring. The test felt like it was within reach now, and he was ready for whatever came next.
100 Civics Questions, 61 to 75. Explained, Civics Questions 2025 Part 5.
The day had arrived. David sat at his desk, feeling a mix of anticipation and excitement. His study sessions with Andrea had been productive, and today would mark the final stretch. He had come a long way since the first time he picked up his study guide. Now, the test was just around the corner, and he was determined to be ready.
All right, David, we're almost there. Let's dive into questions 61 to 75. These will be the final set. You're so close now. Question 61. What are the two major political parties in the United States? A. Democratic and Republican. B. Democratic and Libertarian. C. Republican and Green.
I think the answer is A. Democratic and Republican.
Correct. The Democratic and Republican parties are the two major political parties in the U.S., while there are other smaller parties. These two dominate the political landscape and generally represent different views on issues such as government policy, economics, and social issues. Question 62. What is the economic system in the United States? A. Command economy. B. Market economy. C. Mixed economy.
I think the answer is B. Market economy.
Exactly. The United States has a market economy, which means that economic decisions, such as what goods to produce and how to distribute them, are largely driven by private individuals and businesses, with minimal government intervention. Question 63. Name one war fought by the United States in the 1800s. A. The Civil War. B. The Korean War. C. World War I.
I think the answer is A. The Civil War.
Correct. The Civil War, which took place from 1861 to 1865, was a conflict between the Union and the Confederacy over issues like slavery and states' rights. It was one of the most significant wars in American history. Question 64. What is one thing Benjamin Franklin is famous for? A. US diplomat. B. President. C. Author of the Declaration of Independence.
I think the answer is A. US diplomat.
Exactly. Benjamin Franklin was not only a founding father, but also an important diplomat. He helped secure crucial French support during the American Revolution and played a key role in drafting the Treaty of Paris, which ended the war. Question 65. What is one reason colonists came to America? A. To find gold. B. To escape religious persecution. C. To expand the British Empire.
I think the answer is B. To escape religious persecution.
Correct. Many colonists came to America seeking religious freedom as they faced discrimination and persecution in Europe. This search for religious liberty was one of the driving factors in the founding of many early American colonies. Question 66. In what month do we vote for president? A. November. B. September. C. October.
I think the answer is A. November.
Exactly. The U.S. holds presidential elections every 4 years on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. This has been the tradition since the 19th century. Question 67. What is one responsibility that is only for United States citizens? A. To pay taxes. B. To vote in a federal election. C. To obey the law.
I think the answer is B. To vote in a federal election.
Correct. Voting in federal elections is one of the responsibilities exclusive to U.S. citizens, while permanent residents and others may be able to vote in certain local elections. Only citizens can vote for president and other federal offices. Question 68. What is the political party of the president now? A. Republican. B. Democratic. C. Independent.
I think the answer is A. Republican.
That's correct. The current president is a member of the Republican Party. The political party of the president can change over time depending on the results of each election. Question 69. Why does the flag have 13 stripes? A. Because there were 13 original colonies. B. Because there were 13 U.S. presidents. C. Because there are 13 branches of the military.
I think the answer is A. Because there were 13 original colonies.
Exactly. The 13 stripes represent the original 13 colonies that declared independence from Great Britain and formed the United States. The stars on the flag represent the 50 states. Question 70. What did the Emancipation Proclamation do? A. Freed the slaves. B. Established the Union. C. Ended the Civil War.
I think the answer is A. Freed the slaves.
Correct. Issued by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation declared that all slaves in Confederate states were free. This was a key moment in the fight against slavery and played an important role in the Civil War. Question 71. Name one right only for United States citizens. A. The right to free speech. B. The right to vote in a federal election. C. The right to a fair trial.
I think the answer is B. The right to vote in a federal election.
Exactly. Voting in federal elections is a right reserved for U.S. citizens. This is one of the ways citizens participate directly in the democratic process. Question 72. What major event happened on September 11, 2001 in the United States? A. The signing of the Declaration of Independence. B. Terrorists attacked the United States. C. The U.S. entered World War II.
I think the answer is B. Terrorists attacked the United States.
Correct. On September 11, 2001, terrorist attacks orchestrated by the group Al-Qaeda targeted the World Trade Center in New York City and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., leading to significant loss of life and a shift in U.S. foreign policy. Question 73. What is the rule of law? A. Laws apply only to government officials. B. Laws apply to everyone. C. Laws are made by the president.
I think the answer is B. Laws apply to everyone.
Exactly. The rule of law means that everyone, including government officials, must follow the law. It ensures fairness and equality under the law, preventing arbitrary rule or abuse of power. Question 74. What is the capital of your state? A. Answer depends on where you live. B. Washington, D.C. C. New York City.
I think the answer is A. Answer depends on where you live.
Correct. Each state has its own capital, which is where the state government is based. For example, the capital of California is Sacramento, and the capital of New York is Albany. Question 75. Name one branch or part of the government. A. The President. B. The Judicial Branch. C. The Federal Reserve.
I think the answer is B. The Judicial Branch.
Question 75. Name one branch or part of the government. A. The President. B. The Judicial Branch. C. The Federal Reserve. Great job, David. You've made it through all the questions, and you're more than ready for the test. Just remember to keep studying and stay confident. You've got this.
David leaned back in his chair, smiling. The nerves were gone now, replaced with a quiet confidence. He had prepared as best he could, and he was ready to face the final challenge.
100 Civics Questions, 76 to 90. Explained, Civics Questions 2025 Part 6.
The classroom was quiet now, with just the gentle sound of pencils moving across paper. David had made it to the final set of questions, and he could feel the weight of the exam getting closer. It had been a long road to get to this point, but his confidence had only grown with each passing question. He glanced at the clock and took a deep breath, ready to finish strong.
All right, David, this is it. Just a few more questions left. Let's finish strong with questions 76 to 90. You've got this. Question 76. What ocean is on the west coast of the United States? A. The Atlantic Ocean. B. The Indian Ocean. C. The Pacific Ocean.
I think the answer is C. The Pacific Ocean.
Correct. The Pacific Ocean lies to the west of the United States, touching states like California, Oregon, and Washington. It's the largest and deepest ocean in the world. Question 77. Name your U.S. representative. A. Answer depends on where you live. B. Nancy Pelosi. C. The President.
I think the answer is A. Answer depends on where you live.
Exactly. Each U.S. representative represents a congressional district in a state. To know your representative, you can check the House of Representatives website, as it depends on where you live. Question 78. What is the name of the President of the United States now? A. Barack Obama. B. Joe Biden. C. Donald Trump.
I think the answer is C. Donald Trump.
Correct. As of 2025, Donald Trump is the current president of the United States. The answer to this question can change over time, depending on the election outcomes. Question 79. What is the capital of the United States? A. New York City. B. Washington, D.C. C. Los Angeles.
I think the answer is B. Washington, D.C.
Exactly. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. It's not part of any state, and it serves as the seat of the federal government, where important landmarks like the White House and the U.S. Capitol are located. Question 80. There are 4 amendments to the Constitution about who can vote. Describe one of them. A. Only men can vote. B. Any citizen can vote. C. Only landowners can vote.
I think the answer is B. Any citizen can vote.
Correct. The Constitution has been amended several times to ensure voting rights for all citizens, regardless of race, gender, or wealth. The 15th, 19th, 24th, and 26th Amendments were key in expanding voting rights. Question 81. What is the name of the Speaker of the House of Representatives now? A. Mike Johnson. B. Nancy Pelosi. C. John Boehner.
I think the answer is A. Mike Johnson.
Exactly. Mike Johnson is currently the Speaker of the House. The Speaker is the leader of the House of Representatives and plays a key role in setting the legislative agenda. Question 82. Who does a U.S. Senator represent? A. All people of the state. B. Only the rich people in the state. C. The President.
I think the answer is A. All people of the state.
Correct. A U.S. Senator represents all the people of their state, regardless of party affiliation or background. Senators serve 6-year terms and help create laws for the entire country. Question 83. How old do citizens have to be to vote for president? A. 17 years old. B. 18 years old. C. 21 years old.
I think the answer is B. 18 years old.
Exactly. To vote in federal elections, citizens must be at least 18 years old. This right is guaranteed by the 26th Amendment, passed in 1971. Question 84. What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment? A. Freedom of speech. B. Freedom of slavery. C. Freedom of property.
I think the answer is A. Freedom of speech.
Correct. The First Amendment guarantees several freedoms, including the freedom of speech, the press, religion, and the right to assemble. These rights are fundamental to American democracy. Question 85. What stops one branch of government from becoming too powerful? A. The Senate. B. The Cabinet. C. Checks and balances.
I think the answer is C. Checks and balances.
Exactly. The system of checks and balances ensures that no branch of government becomes too powerful. Each branch, executive, legislative, and judicial, has ways to limit the powers of the others, keeping the system balanced. Question 86. We elect a U.S. Senator for how many years? A. 4 years. B. 6 years. C. 8 years.
I think the answer is B. 6 years.
Correct. U.S. senators are elected for 6-year terms. This longer term helps ensure stability and allows senators to focus on long-term issues, unlike the shorter 2-year term of a House representative. Question 87. During the Cold War, what was the main concern of the United States? A. Fascism. B. Communism. C. Isolationism.
I think the answer is B. Communism.
Exactly. During the Cold War, the main concern of the U.S. was the spread of communism, particularly from the Soviet Union. The U.S. tried to contain communism through various means, including military alliances and economic support for anti-communist countries. Question 88. Where is the Statue of Liberty? A. New York Harbor. B. Washington, D.C. C. San Francisco Bay.
I think the answer is A. New York Harbor.
Correct. The Statue of Liberty stands at the entrance to New York Harbor. It was a gift from France in 1886 and has become a symbol of freedom and democracy. Question 89. What territory did the United States buy from France in 1803? A. Alaska. B. Louisiana. C. Hawaii.
I think the answer is B. Louisiana.
Exactly. The Louisiana Purchase was made in 1803, doubling the size of the United States. It included land that would later become 15 U.S. states and stretched from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. Question 90. The Federalist Papers supported the passage of the U.S. Constitution. Name one of the writers. A. Alexander Hamilton. B. Thomas Jefferson. C. James Madison.
I think the answer is A. Alexander Hamilton.
Correct. Alexander Hamilton was one of the key writers of the Federalist Papers, which argued in favor of the new U.S. Constitution and explained how the new government would work. Fantastic job, David. You've made it through all 90 questions. You've worked hard, and I'm confident you're ready for your test. Just keep practicing a little more, and you'll do great.
David smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. He had made it this far, and now he was more prepared than ever for his naturalization test. The finish line was in sight, and he couldn't wait to see it through.
100 Civics Questions. 91 minus 100 plus bonus. Explained, Civics Questions 2025 Final Part.
The end was in sight. David had reached the final set of questions, and he felt a surge of excitement as he sat down, ready to finish what had been a long but rewarding journey. He had studied tirelessly, and now the end of his preparation was near.
David, we're at the last set of questions. You've done an amazing job so far. Let's finish strong with questions 91 to 105. These are your final hurdles before the test. Question 91. When must all men register for the Selective Service? A. At age 16. B. At age 18. C. At age 21.
I think the answer is B. At age 18.
Correct. All men must register for the Selective Service when they turn 18. This is a requirement in case the government needs to draft individuals for military service, although the draft has not been used since the Vietnam War. Question 92. Name one state that borders Mexico. A. California. B. Alaska. C. Florida.
I think the answer is A. California.
Exactly. California borders Mexico to the west, along with other states like Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. The U.S.-Mexico border spans nearly 2,000 miles. Question 93. Who is one of your state's U.S. senators now? A. Answer depends on where you live. B. Barack Obama. C. Kamala Harris.
I think the answer is A. Answer depends on where you live.
That's right. The names of your state's U.S. senators depend on where you live. Each state has 2 senators who represent them in Washington, D.C. You can check the official U.S. Senate website to find out the current senators for your state. Question 94. Who lived in America before the Europeans arrived? A. The Pilgrims. B. The Native Americans. C. The colonists.
I think the answer is B. The Native Americans.
Correct. Native Americans were the first people to live in what is now the United States. They had diverse cultures, languages, and societies long before European settlers arrived. Question 95. What ocean is on the east coast of the United States? A. The Atlantic Ocean. B. The Pacific Ocean. C. The Arctic Ocean.
I think the answer is A. The Atlantic Ocean.
Exactly. The Atlantic Ocean is on the eastern side of the United States, stretching from the northeastern states down to Florida and beyond. Question 96. What group of people was taken to America and sold as slaves? A. Native Americans. B. Africans. C. Europeans.
I think the answer is B. Africans.
Correct. Africans were forcibly taken to the Americas as part of the transatlantic slave trade, beginning in the 1600s. This horrific practice continued until the Civil War, when slavery was finally abolished. Question 97. Name 2 national U.S. holidays. A. Labor Day, Thanksgiving. B. Christmas, New Year's Day. C. Independence Day, Halloween.
I think the answer is B. Christmas, New Year's Day.
Exactly. Christmas and New Year's Day are both national holidays. In the U.S., Christmas is celebrated on December 25th, and New Year's Day is on January 1st, marking the beginning of the year. Question 98. What did Susan B. Anthony do? A. Founded the NAACP. B. Fought for women's rights. C. Led the Underground Railroad.
I think the answer is B. Fought for women's rights.
Exactly. Susan B. Anthony was a key leader in the women's suffrage movement, fighting for women's right to vote. She was instrumental in securing the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920. Question 99. What do we call the first 10 amendments to the Constitution? A. The Bill of Rights. B. The Civil Rights Act. C. The Federalist Papers.
I think the answer is A. The Bill of Rights.
Correct. The Bill of Rights consists of the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution, and it guarantees essential rights and freedoms, such as freedom of speech and religion. Question 100. What are two rights in the Declaration of Independence? A. Life and liberty. B. Property and taxes. C. Speech and religion.
I think the answer is A. Life and liberty.
Exactly. The Declaration of Independence mentions the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which are considered inalienable rights that cannot be taken away. Question 101. What is the national motto of the United States? A. E pluribus unum. B. In God we trust. C. Liberty and justice for all.
I think the answer is B. In God we trust.
Actually, the correct answer is B. In God we trust. It was adopted as the national motto in 1956. E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, was the original motto, but is not used as widely today. Question 102. What is the longest river in the United States? A. The Mississippi River. B. The Colorado River. C. The Missouri River.
I think the answer is C. The Missouri River.
Correct. The Missouri River is the longest river in the United States, stretching over 2,300 miles, flowing from Montana to the Mississippi River. Question 103. What is the largest state in the United States by area? A. California. B. Texas. C. Alaska.
I think the answer is C. Alaska.
Exactly. Alaska is the largest state in the U.S., covering over 663,000 square miles. It's more than twice the size of Texas, the second largest state. Question 104. What year did the United States land the first man on the moon? A. 1969. B. 1959. C. 1975.
I think the answer is A. 1969.
Correct. On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first person to set foot on the moon during the Apollo 11 mission. This was a historic achievement in space exploration. Question 105. What is the purpose of the U.S. Constitution? A. To create laws. B. To establish the framework of the government. C. To declare independence.
I think the answer is B. To establish the framework of the government.
Exactly. The U.S. Constitution lays the foundation for the federal government, defining the roles of the branches of government and protecting the rights of the people. David, you've made it to the end. You've completed all 105 questions. I'm so proud of the hard work you've put into this, and I'm confident you're ready for the test. Good luck. You've got this.
David sat back, feeling a rush of accomplishment. The road to becoming a U.S. citizen had been long, but now, with this final piece of preparation behind him, he was ready for the next step.